Aw.
random. 2007, we all had Thanksgiving dinner at Melanie's place. Remember that?
Right, sister wasn't there, and Linda
Remember,
wasn't
sister
there, but I
wasn't
was
there.
there.
Well, okay, if you don't want to comment on that, how about the next one, St. John's Cemetery? Uh, You guys are visiting St. John's Cemetery. Connie's pointing to uh, her great grandparents, John and Mary Siegfried, and then you got Clotilda and Clem Siegfried in the lower picture there. Sisters in it, you're in it, Cindy, and Barbara's in that picture. So I'm
Right,
thinking you all went together.
Yeah, I remember that day.
right.
I'm assuming it was around this time. Am I right?
Let's see.
Okay, well, I'm saying it was right around this time, November.
They have coats on, so it must be cold.
Yeah, and I don't get to Canton very often, so
I'm thinking that must have been an occasion where you all got to Canton. So I was thinking maybe around Thanksgiving or something.
possibly.
Phone call not too long ago, like 10 years or so, um,
Mhm.
when I lived on 437 Caroline Street there in Youngstown. All of a sudden, this one of the, I think his name was William, the
Okay.
other older brother, and he was all excited because he got a hold of me.
Oh,
you know, so it was nice to hear from him after all those years.
yeah. I did not know her siblings. I got to know Mary Jane. I don't know, somebody, I wish I had kept a record of how I got to know everybody, but someone had recommended me to Mary Jane, and basically I was able to meet with her. She did a lot of honing history. She had a lot of children, and before she went, she was a nurse, I think, and I think before she went back to work full time, she would take like her youngest. I remember she'd say she would take him into courthouses just to get like records and that sort of thing. And she had actually met me out at Summit Mall one day. This has been many years ago, and she had these binders. I mean, like 2 3 inch thick binders, and she had like several of these, like 5 or 6. She just said, take what you need, make copies, and just get them back to me, which of course I did. But she was a really nice woman, and I really owe her a lot of credit for the Horning history. She's actually written books that have been, I think it up in the Western. I think there's a Western Reserve Library. There's a library up in Cleveland, but that's awesome. You knew her, did you? And so you got to know the
Well,
family pretty well, it sounds like.
let me add some
That's awesome.
clarification.
Thank you.
We talked about Lucille Mary Horning
Yes,
Okay.
last week. Mary Jane Elmerick or Mary Jane Aylward, what it was her married name. She married John David Aylward.
She was an Elmerick, I think, by birth, or is that right? I think so.
She married John David Aylward.
That's right.
That's how, but her parents were Leo Joseph Elmerick and Lucille Mary Horning, who we talked about. Remember that was the picture with
yes,
Clotilda?
yes.
Yeah, so we talked about her last week.
They
Anyway,
were
this
very
was her
friendly.
daughter, so it's all comes into play here. I
Yeah, and the
just
other little interesting thing, I just kind of want to interject this real quick. When I had got to know her and putting all these dates and everything together, I found out she was born December 21st, and I thought, well, that's really cool because it's the same birthday as my dad. Well, little did I know when I did a little more research, she was actually born not just the same date, but the same day. They were actually both born in 1926. I don't remember my dad ever mentioning her, but when I found that out years later, I thought, oh, that's really awesome. They were born the same day because my dad had he had an interest in the family history, and of course Mary Jane, she was just phenomenal. But it was a nice family. But yeah, Chuck, you're right. How they all connect.
she was born on December 21st, 1926.
Yeah, that's right, and that same day as my
Yeah,
dad.
did
So
she do a lot of genealogy? Do I know her from that also? Yeah, she did much early family history as well.
she did a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
yeah she shared everything. I mean, she was
right,
phenomenal. Yeah.
right. Okay, that's all very good. And the obit that you have right there doesn't really give dates, but Peter
That's what I had.
Rothwell, who married Margaret Broches, and of course his wife isn't mentioned by name either there. Just this deceased is survived by his wife and a family of children. That doesn't give you a lot to go by.
That's all there was.
But,
So
but, but I just looked him up. I think he was born in 1805 and,
right.
whatever.
But I also put a note shortly above there where you see the find a grave. I don't know if you're familiar with find a grave. I use that a lot to verify.
Yeah, I do. Well, yeah, I do. Actually, I sponsor. I just had gone through a lot of trouble with the pellets because somebody posted somebody I know, one of the Chernows posted a lot of bad information about
Oh,
one of the pellet girls. And I kind of
oh,
took an interest in, Alice's sisters. Alice was our grandmother. She had a lot of sisters. They were all kind of servants. Anyway, I tracked them all down.
hmm,
And one in particular was kind of missing. I mean, under very suspicious
oh,
circumstances. I'm not going to get into that right now, but
yeah. If you fi-
it's on my to-do list to try to sort things out. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
if you
got me.
find errors, I do get in touch with people. I don't use the site that often, but when I have found errors, I do contact people. But I had put it on here particularly just to verify that they are both buried at St. Joe's and
Well,
Randolph. I
you know,
figured they were, but I did verify it through there,
the
so
the
with pictures.
these errors tend to propagate, because
Yeah.
I took it as that she was buried in um St. Louis Cemetery, and in fact, she wasn't. She's missing. She's nowhere to be found. I tracked her husband down to I think it was Indiana. Anyway, we don't have to go into that right now, but
That's
your
okay.
point about find a grave, yeah, I do know about find a grave.
Good.
I adopted all the pellet people.